Alright, hey guys, Wicked Specialist aka Real Geek here, back with another Talkin Comics. Like I said in the pull list video, I figured I'd probably have to do a discussion about Spider-Man Life Story number 2, the 70s, and I sure as hell do. Like I said in the previous video, if you're not familiar with this series, Spider-Man Life Story posits what if Spider-Man actually got his powers in the 60s like he did when he was actually created in 1962. And then each issue is going to be kind of like those X-Men movies, and it's going to jump forward a decade each time in a different period in his life, a different period in comics. In this one, it's the 70s. The first one was the 60s. It was set in the mid to late 60s, like the beginning of the Vietnam era. Flash Thompson was due to go off to Vietnam. And Peter Parker was wrestling with the guilt of should he do more as a superhero? Should he go over to help fight in Vietnam with with the soldiers, the real heroes? And that was the moral crux of that issue. This issue picks up 10 years later, 1977. There'll be some spoilers from this point on, so if you haven't read the issue yet, go ahead and turn it off if you don't want to find out about spoilers. But if you want to, if you did read the issue or you just don't care about spoilers and you're kind of intrigued by the concept, then go and listen on. Alright, 1977, 10 years later, Flash Thompson was killed in Vietnam, and Peter, of course, feels very, very guilty about that. Life's still been pretty good to him, though. He married Gwen Stacy and works for Reed Richards and the Future Foundation over in the Baxter Building. We find out that this world's timeline is different from our own timeline in this version. Reed Richards is a bitter scientist focused only on the pursuit of science itself, so much to the point that he lost Sue Richards, his wife, to Namor. And he is not happy about that. But Peter and Gwen are happy for the time being until the Black Goblin shows up and utterly destroys any happiness that Peter has. New Goblin, it's an identity that we've seen before in the comics. I don't want to spoil too much, so you should really read this issue. But it posits a new take on the clone story, and it's just really dark issue. Like, wow. Like, I put this issue down and I was like, wow, Chip Zdarsky got dark on this one. Really sad. I felt terrible for Peter at the end of this issue. And it's not looking like it's going to get much better into the 80s. As we get into what appears to be, it'll be a take on the Kraven the Hunter storyline. And that should be interesting with him, the 40-year-old Peter, 40-something-year-old Peter, and the black costume in that one. So that should be an interesting issue next month. I cannot wait to read that one. But this one is a series you should definitely pick up. Like I mentioned, the first issue sold out completely on the publisher level, which does not really happen these days, not like it used to back in the 90s. So that tells you something about this book right here. This series is red hot, a lot of fun, very emotional. If you're a Spider-Man fan, you'll pick up all types of notices to different eras and storylines that happened in the original comics. But this version is just that little tweak different, that little they took a left instead of where they in the original story took a right, and a lot of fun to read, a lot of heart in here, like as any good Spider-Man story should be. So go pick up Spider-Man Life Story. If you can find a second printing of the first issue, go pick that up. But if you can't, go pick up this issue today while it's on the shelves and enjoy it. Did you guys read this one? What did you think? Let's talk about Spider-Man. What's your favorite Spider-Man story? What's your favorite Spider-Man era? My favorite era, personally, is it's maligned, but I really enjoyed it. Had a lot of fun with the early 90s Carnage into the Maximum Carnage into the Clone Saga era. I had a lot of fun with that. But yeah, till next time, guys, stay geeky, and stay tuned for more of these Talking Comics videos as I read comics that just make me want to talk about them. So, till next time, stay geeky. Peace.